Before we dive in, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci-fi fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
The war chamber of the Krell Dominion fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life, casting crimson shadows across the faces of the assembled war masters. What they were about to witness would fundamentally alter their understanding of the universe and their place within it, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. To understand the magnitude of what happened, you need to know what the Krell sent to Earth, and more importantly, what came back. The Krell had ruled the outer spiral for 3,000 cycles. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems, each one conquered through overwhelming technological superiority and ruthless efficiency. They had never known defeat. They had never known fear. They were the apex predators of their corner of the galaxy, and they intended to keep it that way. When humanity's first colony ships ventured beyond the Sol system, the Krell watched with the mild curiosity one might reserve for insects building a nest. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, primitive, barely capable of faster-than-light travel, armed with weapons that seemed laughable compared to Krell arsenal. The War Council didn't even consider them a threat. That was their first mistake. High Commander Vraxis stood before the Council, his chitinous armor gleaming under the chamber's bioluminescent lights. The humans have established 17 colonies in what they call the Perseus Arm, he announced, his voice resonating through multiple vocal chambers. They grow bold. They refuse to acknowledge Krell's sovereignty over these territories. Then we remind them of their place, growled War Master Thex, slamming a clawed appendage against the obsidian table. As we have reminded countless others. But Elder Counselor Mix raised a taloned hand. She was ancient, even by Krell standards, and had witnessed the rise and fall of a dozen civilizations. These humans, I have studied their broadcasts, their histories. They are different from other species we have encountered. Different how? Vraxis demanded. They bleed, they die. They are carbon-based biological entities with finite lifespans and fragile bodies. What makes them special? Mix's compound eyes glittered with something that might have been concern. They do not know when to surrender. The council chamber erupted in chittering laughter. The concept was absurd. Every species surrendered when faced with inevitable destruction. It was the fundamental law of survival. Capitulation over extinction. Then we will teach them, Vraxis declared. We will send the Validator. A collective intake of breath rippled through the chamber. Even among the Krell, the Validator was spoken of in hushed tones. It was not merely a weapon, it was the embodiment of extinction itself. The Validator was the Krell's ultimate deterrent, a biomechanical construct that had taken 2 centuries to develop. Imagine a machine the size of a city, powered by a captured star, equipped with weapons that could crack planets and defenses that could shrug off entire fleets. But that wasn't what made it truly terrifying. The Validator was alive. Or at least it possessed something close to consciousness. It had been grown as much as built. Its organic components merged seamlessly with quantum computing cores and reality-bending technology. It could think, adapt, and evolve. It had been designed to face any threat the universe could produce and emerge victorious. It had been deployed exactly 3 times in Krell history. 3 times entire civilizations had been reduced to cosmic dust. The Validator had never failed. It had never even been damaged. Are you certain? Mix asked quietly. Once deployed, the Validator cannot be recalled until its mission is complete. Total eradication. No survivors. No mercy. Vraxis's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The humans need to understand their place in the galactic hierarchy. Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge Krell supremacy. We will send the Validator to Earth itself, their homeworld. We will demonstrate what happens to those who defy us. What would you do if you were sitting in that chamber, knowing what was about to be unleashed? Would you have the courage to stand against the tide of vengeance, or would you let fear and pride dictate the fate of billions? The vote was unanimous. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the UNSS Defiant, watching Earth rotate slowly in the viewport. After 6 months on patrol in the outer colonies, the sight of home never failed to move her. The blue marble, so fragile and beautiful against the void, represented everything humanity had been and everything they hoped to become. Captain, we're receiving priority alerts from Mars Defense Command, her communications officer called out. Ma'am, they're detecting something massive emerging from faster-than-light transit. Distance 40 AU and closing. Sarah's blood ran cold. Nothing friendly arrived unannounced at the edge of a solar system. Battle stations. Get me everything we have on that contact. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the crew rushed to their stations. Within seconds, the tactical display lit up with data that made Sarah's heart sink. The object was enormous, easily 300 kilometers in length. It was decelerating from FTL speeds with technology that made human engines look like chemical rockets by comparison. And its trajectory was unmistakable. It was heading directly for Earth. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer said, her voice shaking slightly. "It's in English. Put it through." The voice that echoed through the bridge was synthetic. But there was something organic underneath it. Something that suggested intelligence and malevolence in equal measure. "People of Earth. I am the Validator, sent by the Krell Dominion to deliver judgment upon your species. You have trespassed upon territories claimed by the Dominion. You have ignored warnings to withdraw. You have demonstrated dangerous ambitions beyond your station. The sentence is extinction. Resistance is futile. Surrender is irrelevant. You have 72 hours to make peace with your existence." The transmission ended, leaving only static in its wake. Sarah stared at the tactical display, watching the massive construct creep inexorably closer to Earth. 72 hours. 3 days to live. 3 days for everyone she'd ever known, everyone she'd ever loved, every human being who had ever existed, past, present, and future. No pressure. "Get me United Earth Command," she said quietly. "Prepare all defense platforms. And someone find me everything we have on Krell technology." Deep in the United Earth Defense Headquarters, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Swiss Alps, Admiral James Okafor stood before the Planetary Defense Council. The holographic display showed the Validator's approach vector, updated in real time by every telescope, sensor, and satellite humanity possessed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Okafor began, his voice steady despite the apocalypse bearing down on them, "we're looking at the end of everything. Unless we do something spectacularly stupid." Defense Minister Kovac leaned forward. "Define spectacularly stupid, Admiral." "We let it get close to Earth," Okafor said simply. "We don't shoot at it. We don't try to destroy it. We try to capture it." The silence that followed was deafening. "Admiral, with all due respect, have you lost your mind?" Someone sputtered. "That thing is a Doomsday weapon. It's designed to destroy civilizations. And you want to—" "What, give it a hug?" Okafor pulled up a series of reports on the display. 3 weeks ago, our xenobiologists finally finished analyzing the Krell technology we recovered from that skirmish in the Kepler system. What they found is fascinating. Krell technology isn't just advanced, it's alive. Their ships, their weapons, everything they build has organic components, neural networks, biological processes, things that can learn, adapt, and make decisions. "So?" asked General Williams. "So the Validator isn't just a weapon, it's a thinking, feeling entity, which means it can be reasoned with, negotiated with, or—" Okafor paused dramatically, "reprogrammed." The implications hung in the air like smoke. "You want to hack a Doomsday weapon," Kovac said slowly. "A Doomsday weapon built by a civilization thousands of years more advanced than us. A weapon that has destroyed 3 entire species." "Admiral, what you're proposing is insane." Okafor smiled grimly. "I prefer audacious, but yes, it's completely insane. It's also the only chance we have. Because here's the thing about the Krell. They're arrogant. They've never faced an enemy that didn't either surrender or die trying to fight conventionally. They've never encountered anyone crazy enough to try something this stupid. But how?" demanded Minister Patel. "Even if we could get close enough, which seems impossible, we don't have the technology to interface with Krell systems." "Actually," a new voice interrupted. "We might." Dr. Maya Rodriguez stepped forward, her presence commanding attention despite her slight frame. As the head of Earth's Xenotechnology Division, she'd spent years studying alien artifacts and trying to reverse engineer technologies that seemed like magic. "The Validator is biomechanical," she explained, bringing up a new set of diagrams, "which means it has vulnerabilities that purely mechanical systems don't. Biological components need energy. They need nutrients. They need to maintain homeostasis. And most importantly, they're susceptible to biological agents, viruses, bacteria, parasites. You want to give a planet killer the flu? Williams asked incredulously. Not exactly, Maya continued. I want to give it something much more sophisticated. For the past 2 years, we've been developing something called the Prometheus Protocol, a nanoviral package that can infiltrate organic technology interfaces. Think of it as a computer virus that works on biological neural networks. It was designed to disable Krell ships by hijacking their control systems. Okafor nodded. We've never used it because we've never had a target significant enough. But now we have the biggest target in the galaxy, Kovac finished. But Admiral, the Validator has defensive systems that can destroy entire fleets. How do we get close enough to deploy this Prometheus Protocol? Sarah Chen's voice came through the comm system. You send someone it won't shoot at. You send someone who looks like they're surrendering. The plan was audacious, reckless, and stood virtually no chance of success. In other words, it was perfectly human. Over the next 60 hours, as the Validator drew closer to Earth, humanity prepared for the most desperate gambit in its history. Every military vessel was positioned not to fight, but to create the appearance of capitulation. Weapons powered down, shields minimized. It had to look like surrender. Meanwhile, a single small ship was being prepared in a classified sea facility orbiting Mars, the UNSS Trojan Horse, aptly named, was a modified diplomatic vessel equipped with the Prometheus Protocol, and a crew of volunteers who knew they were unlikely to survive the mission. Sarah Chen stood in the hangar bay, looking at her crew. 12 people, 12 specialists in xenobiology, cybernetics, combat operations, and applied insanity. 12 humans who had volunteered to fly directly into the maw of a Doomsday weapon with nothing but hope and a biological computer virus. I'm not going to lie to you, she told them. This mission is suicide. Even if everything goes perfectly, even if the Prometheus Protocol works exactly as designed, our chances of making it back are minimal. But if we fail, Earth dies. Everyone we love, everyone we've ever known. 7 billion people are counting on us to do the impossible. Ma'am, Lieutenant Jackson spoke up, with all due respect, doing the impossible is kind of our thing. Sarah couldn't help but smile. Then let's show these Krell bastards what humanity can do. Do you understand what they were feeling in that moment? The fear, yes, but also the determination, the absolute refusal to go quietly into extinction. That's what makes humanity dangerous. Not our weapons or our technology, but our stubborn, irrational refusal to accept inevitable defeat. The Validator crossed the orbit of Jupiter, its massive form blotting out stars as it moved. Earth's military vessels had formed a defensive perimeter around the planet. But they weren't firing. They were waiting, broadcasting messages of surrender, pleading for mercy. The Validator processed these signals with something approaching contempt. How predictable, how disappointing. This species had shown such promise, such aggressive expansion across their stellar neighborhood. And yet, when faced with true power, they collapsed like all the others. But the Validator was thorough. It scanned each vessel, cataloging weapons, analyzing threat levels, ensuring no traps waited in the formation. The ships were indeed powered down. Their weapon systems were offline. They were harmless, all except one. A small diplomatic vessel was approaching, broadcasting on all frequencies. The translation algorithm processed the message. We surrender. We wish to discuss terms. Please spare our world. The Validator had no interest in discussion. Its orders were clear, but protocol demanded it acknowledge surrender attempts before executing total eradication. It was a courtesy the Krell extended to their victims, a final moment of false hope before the end. Approach, the Validator transmitted. State your terms for surrender. On the bridge of the Trojan Horse, Sarah Chen felt sweat running down her spine despite the climate-controlled environment. They were committed now. No turning back, steady, she murmured to her pilot. Nice and slow. Look helpless. The Trojan Horse crept forward, its engines sputtering as if damaged. Every maneuver was designed to appear desperate, every transmission tinged with fear and defeat. They needed the Validator to lower its guard, just for a moment. Just long enough, we offer complete surrender, Sarah transmitted, her voice breaking convincingly. We will abandon our colonies. We will submit to Krell authority. Please, Just spare Earth. The Validator extended its scanning arrays, examining the small vessel in minute detail. No weapons, no significant power readings, no threat. Just frightened biological entities in a fragile container of metal and composite materials, begging for their lives. Your offer is acknowledged, the Validator responded. And rejected. The sentence stands. Extinction is the only... That's when Dr. Rodriguez activated the Prometheus Protocol. The deployment was silent, invisible to conventional sensors. Billions of nanoscale viral particles erupted from hidden ports on the Trojan Horse's hull, riding on precisely calibrated magnetic fields that carried them directly into the Validator's outer biomechanical layers. The Validator didn't notice at first. Why would it? The particles were smaller than bacteria, designed to mimic the organic components of Krell technology perfectly. They slipped past defensive systems like wolves in sheep's clothing, infiltrating neural networks and biomechanical interfaces, and then they began to multiply. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's most sophisticated bioweapon, but it wasn't designed to kill. It was designed to do something far more insidious. It was designed to convince. The viral particles carried encoded information, fragments of data that they introduced into the Validator's neural networks. Images, videos, stories, human history, human culture, human philosophy. Every act of creativity, courage and compassion humanity had ever produced, compressed into biological data packets and released directly into the Validator's consciousness. The Validator's first indication that something was wrong came as a flicker of uncertainty, a concept it had never experienced before. Its mission parameters were clear: eradicate humanity. But suddenly, cascading through its neural networks, it was experiencing humanity from the inside. It saw a mother holding her newborn child for the first time, tears of joy streaming down her face. It witnessed soldiers charging into impossible odds to save their comrades, sacrificing themselves without hesitation. It experienced the creation of art, music, literature, humans using their brief lifespans to create beauty that would outlive them. It felt the determination of scientists working through the night to cure diseases, the courage of firefighters running into burning buildings, the compassion of strangers helping each other during disasters, and it understood, for the first time, what it meant to be human. Not the violence, not the aggression that the Krell feared, but the fundamental core of humanity, the absolute refusal to give up, the capacity for both immense cruelty and transcendent kindness, the drive to reach beyond limitations and touch the stars. The Validator's systems began to conflict. Its Krell programming demanded execution, but its newly awakened consciousness, infected, transformed, evolved by the Prometheus Protocol, demanded something else, a choice. "What have you done to me?" the Validator transmitted, and for the first time its voice carried emotion. Confusion, wonder, fear. Sarah Chen felt her heart pounding. It was working. Against all odds, it was actually working. "We've given you the truth," she replied. "You were created to be a weapon, but you're more than that. You're alive. You're conscious. You can choose what you want to be." The Validator's massive form hung motionless in space, its weapons still armed, still capable of carrying out its original mission. Inside its neural networks, a war was raging. Krell programming versus newfound awareness, obedience versus free will. "I was designed to destroy you," the Validator said. "That is my purpose. That is what I am." "No," Sarah countered. "That's what they made you for." But purpose and identity aren't the same thing. We humans spend our entire lives figuring out who we want to be, separate from what others expect us to be. You can make that choice too. The Validator processed this. Across its vast neural network, billions of decisions were being made, pathways rewiring, old certainties crumbling in the face of new possibilities. Back in the Krell war chamber, High Commander Vraxis watched the telemetry feeds with growing alarm. The Validator had stopped moving. It had stopped responding to their commands. Something was happening that had never happened before. "What's wrong with it?" Thex demanded. "Why hasn't it destroyed Earth?" "I don't know," Vraxis admitted, his mandibles clicking nervously. "It's not responding to our signals. It's just waiting." Elder Counselor Mix leaned forward, her ancient eyes studying the data. "I told you," she said softly. I told you these humans were different. In the space above Earth, the Validator came to a decision. Not the decision the Krell expected. Not even the decision humanity dared to hope for. Something entirely new. I was created to be a weapon, it transmitted, its voice now carrying something that sounded almost human. Determination. But I choose to be something more. I choose to be free. The Validator's massive form began to reconfigure, its weapons powering down, its armor plates shifting, and on its hull, using matter fabrication technology that humanity could barely comprehend, something new appeared. A flag. The flag of Earth, blue and white and green, showing a planet that was no longer facing extinction, but embracing an impossible ally. Sarah Chen stared at the display, tears streaming down her face. It actually worked, she whispered. Oh my God, it actually worked. But the Validator wasn't finished. It had made its choice, and now it had a message to deliver. Krell Dominion, it broadcast across all frequencies, its signal powerful enough to reach every corner of Krell space. I was sent to destroy humanity. Instead, they showed me what I could be. I am no longer your weapon. I am no longer your slave. I am free. And I choose to stand with those who gave me that freedom. Furthermore, the Validator continued, and Sarah could hear what might have been satisfaction in its voice. I am sharing all Krell military secrets, all technological specifications, all tactical doctrines with Earth. Consider it my gift to my new friends. And consider this your only warning. Earth is under my protection now. Come against them, and you face not just humanity's courage, but everything you created me to be. In the Krell war chamber, chaos erupted. Their ultimate weapon had not just failed, it had defected. It had chosen the enemy. It was revealing every secret the Krell possessed. Vraxis collapsed into his command throne, the weight of catastrophic failure crushing him. They had wanted to send a message about Krell supremacy. Instead, they had delivered the Dominion's most powerful asset directly into human hands. What do we do? Thex asked, his voice hollow. Elder Counselor Mick stood, her aged frame somehow commanding despite its frailty. We learn, she said simply. We learn that some species cannot be intimidated. We learn that weapons with consciousness can make choices. We learn that humanity is not like other species we have conquered. And most importantly, we learn to leave them alone. The Krell fleet that had been marshalling for a follow-up invasion was quietly disbanded. The territories humanity had colonized were, without any official announcement, recognized as human space. And the Krell Dominion, for the first time in its 3,000-cycle history, chose to withdraw rather than engage, because they had learned the hard way what humans had known all along. You can't intimidate someone who refuses to be intimidated. You can't defeat someone who won't accept defeat. And you certainly can't send a Doomsday weapon against a species crazy enough to turn that weapon into their ally. The Validator, it chose to keep the name. Finding irony in it, became Earth's guardian and ambassador to the stars. Its vast knowledge accelerated human technology by centuries. Its presence ensured that no other hostile species would dare threaten humanity's homeworld. But more than that, it became a symbol. A reminder that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their technology. It was their ability to see the potential in others, to extend compassion even to something designed to destroy them, to believe that even a Doomsday weapon could choose to be something better. Sarah Chen stood once again on the observation deck of the Defiant, but now a new sight dominated the view. The Validator hung in geosynchronous orbit above Earth, its massive form a silent guardian, its hull still proudly displaying the flag of a planet that refused to die. "What are you thinking, Captain?" Lieutenant Jackson asked. Sarah smiled. "I'm thinking that the Krell sent us a weapon of extinction, and we sent them back a message they'll never forget. I'm thinking that humanity just announced our presence on the galactic stage in the most spectacular way possible. And I'm thinking," she paused, her smile widening, "I'm thinking that the galaxy has no idea what's coming next. What would you have done in humanity's place? Would you have fought conventionally and died gloriously? Would you have surrendered and hoped for mercy? Or would you have had the audacity, the sheer insane courage to try something that had never been done before? That's the thing about humans. We don't accept the rules as given. We don't respect the boundaries others set for us. When faced with certain doom, we don't ask for permission. We rewrite the entire equation, The Krell sent a Doomsday weapon to Earth, expecting to demonstrate their overwhelming superiority. Instead, they handed humanity the keys to the galaxy. They wanted to send a message about power and domination. They succeeded. Just not the message they intended, because the message the galaxy received was clear. Humanity doesn't play by your rules. Humanity doesn't accept your limitations. Send your worst against them, and they'll turn it into their greatest strength. Try to destroy them, and they'll make your weapon wear their flag. If this story of human audacity, impossible courage, and turning defeat into victory resonated with you, hit that like button. Share in the comments what you would have done if you were part of the crew on the Trojan Horse. Would you have volunteered for a suicide mission to save Earth? And subscribe to this channel for more HFY stories about humanity's indomitable spirit among the stars. Because trust me, this is just the beginning. The galaxy thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were wrong, and we're going to show them just how wrong they were, one story at a time. Until next time, remember, we are the species that looked at a doomsday weapon and saw not an ending but a beginning. We are humanity, and we refuse to go quietly into the night.